Daniel Sports Central, we go over a college football game preview and prediction on the Week 7 matchup between the Mississippi State Bulldogs and the Kentucky Wildcats. Huge matchup for both these teams coming up here in Week 7. You got Mississippi State, who's off to a 5-1 start, and this team is quietly one of the best teams in the SEC right now. This team being 5-1, ranked 16th in the nation right now. Mississippi State is a team to keep an eye on. And they play Kentucky this week. Kentucky's a team who's taken 2 straight losses, and they're in desperate need of a win to get back on the right track, and this is a crucial game to do so. We'll be going over a full game preview and prediction on this match for today, starting out with your team trends. Mississippi State beat Arkansas 40-17 in their Week 6 matchup, and they took care of the Razorbacks there. They were 5-1 once again to start off the season. They lost to LSU a couple of weeks ago. That's the one loss that Mississippi State has this season, but otherwise, I mean, this team has looked really good this season, and that's what I was saying after that Arkansas win. And my Week 7 rankings is that Mississippi State is quietly one of the best teams in the SEC. This is a team that, I mean, with Will Rogers, who's an outstanding quarterback, who is a very underrated quarterback, I think the Bulldogs are once again definitely one of the top teams in the SEC right now. And if you compare them with Kentucky, Kentucky is trending downwards right now. They've lost 2 straight games. They lost to South Carolina this past weekend, 14-24. Of course, they're dealing with a couple of injuries. Will Levis, their star quarterback, was out for that matchup against South Carolina. So obviously that's going to be crucial for the Wildcats having him back if they want any chance of remaining a contender in the SEC this season. But as of right now, Kentucky 4-2. They're ranked 22nd in the nation. Mississippi State once again is currently positioned at number 16. Games be on Saturday, October 15th in Lexington, Kentucky. So the Wildcats are the home team for this one. And your kickoff is 7:30 p.m. Eastern. So Kentucky's got the home field. It's a night game, so that is to Kentucky's advantage here. That is for sure. But, of course, they had South Carolina at home last week, and it didn't work out too well. But, I mean, once again, it does help to have the home field, that's for sure. And, once again, it's going to be crucial having Will Levis back. And he's questionable. We haven't really heard too much as to whether or not it's a long-term injury or – it sounds like he's day-to-day right now. That's all we really know about him. So we'll see as the week progresses the developments on that. But currently the spread, Mississippi State by 7. Over-under is 47, and the FPI is going Mississippi State 59.8%. So your Bulldogs are favored by a decent amount for this one. Series history, Mississippi State leads at 25-24. They won the last matchup, and they've won 3 out of the past 5, but it's usually a pretty back-and-forth series between Mississippi State and Kentucky. When these teams play each other is once again your last 5. Mississippi State leads at 3-2. Your stat comparison for this one: Mississippi State is 17th in points per game, 29th in points allowed. They are 3rd in passage a game, 107th in rush yards a game, and then for yards allowed, 48th in passing, 56th in rushing. So Mississippi State is a strong team on offense. They're also strong in defense too. Can't forget about the defense. They've been pretty good at times this season, that's for sure. And obviously in the passing game, that's really where the Bulldogs' main strength is on offense with Will Rogers, who, once again, is definitely underrated. He's played very well so far this season, so keep an eye on him moving forward. And on the defensive side of the ball, 48th in passing for pass yards allowed, and then 56th for rush yards allowed. And if you compare that with Kentucky, 81st in points per game, 23rd in points allowed. So defensively, they have been better this season statistically. They're 65th in pass yards a game, 112th in rush yards a game. And then for yards allowed, 15th in passing, 63rd in rushing. So a pretty good pass defense here in Kentucky, which going up against a great Mississippi State offense in the passing game, that will come to Kentucky's advantage there. But obviously on offense, if you're looking at yards, Kentucky is 112th in the rushing game, and Mississippi State is pretty balanced defensively. Not, outstanding in either area, but they're good in both the passing defense and the rushing defense. But, of course, for Kentucky, this is a team that, that's the thing. With having Will Levis out, he's a really good passer. And so for Kentucky not to have him, and, their backfield, Chris Rodriguez, he's a good running back who is just coming back into play the past couple of weeks. So we'll see. He's obviously going to have an impact and will definitely help raise the stats on the rushing game eventually. But as of right now, Kentucky is 112th in the rushing game. Your recent matchups: Mississippi State beat Arkansas 40-17, beat Texas A&M, of course, 42-24. So once again, this is a team that has improved already over the course of the 2022 season. I mean, ever since that LSU lost to them 16-31, they came back the next week, beat Bowling Green 45-14, dominated them. They beat Texas A&M, who is coming off of a couple of huge wins against a ranked Arkansas team and a ranked Miami team. So the Aggies were ranked 17th, and Mississippi State took care of them, no problem, and just beat Arkansas 40-17. So Mississippi State is definitely one of the hottest teams in the SEC right now, and they also beat Arizona back in week 2, 39-17. As for Kentucky, lost to South Carolina 14-24, had a brutal loss to Ole Miss 19-22. Obviously, Kentucky, I think, was ranked 7th in that matchup, so they were ranked in the top 10 there. But Ole Miss got the win in the end there by 3. Beat Northern Illinois 31-23, beat Youngstown State 31-0, and beat Florida, the 12th ranked team in the nation there. Florida was ranked 12th heading into week 2, obviously after a great start beating Utah. But yeah, Kentucky took down the Gators there 26-16, and that's probably the best win of the season to date for Kentucky. Of course, this team losing 2 straight games is definitely tough. And I mean, that's the thing about Kentucky is this is a team that, being 4-2, coming off of 2 straight losses, this is a crucial game for Kentucky to get back on the right track if they want to be a contender in the SEC this season, which they very much can be. They got the talent to do so, but I mean, losing 3 straight games, that can lead to definitely some problems down the stretch. So for Mississippi State, though, 5-1, Will Rogers emerging as a top quarterback in the SEC. Defensively, they've shown potential. And once again, I mean, 3 straight wins here, and they've only improved so far this season, have the Bulldogs. And for Kentucky, Will Levis out last week. This is a crucial factor once again. If Will Levis is in this game, I think Kentucky is honestly a team that could be considered to be a potential favorite. But if he's out, or he's even maybe limited, not 100% yet, I mean, I think Kentucky is at a severe disadvantage there, because this offense without Will Levis is definitely, it's not to their top potential, obviously, without Will Levis. So, and defensively, they're going to need to have a strong game no matter what. Obviously, going up against Will Rogers, who's a really good quarterback. Mississippi State is one of the top teams in the country in passing. Kentucky's already got a good pass defense and a good defensive secondary. That's going to need to come to play in this matchup, that's for sure. And they got the home field advantage in the night game. This is a chance to get back on track for Kentucky, going up against a top 20 team, and once again, one of the hottest teams in the nation here in Mississippi State. But that said, let's get to the prediction here for Mississippi State and Kentucky coming up here in week 7 of action. And I'm going Mississippi State here 27-24. And this is a pretty conditional prediction here. Once again, I mean, Will Levis, we don't know how he's going to be for this game, whether or not he's even going to play in this game. We don't know that yet. All we know is he's day-to-day right now. So if he does play in this game, if Will Levis is back to 100%, which we certainly, we can hope that that's going to happen for Kentucky. But if he's not in this game, it's going to be really tough, I think, for the Wildcats to pull this one off. Going up against a Mississippi State team that's been very good on offense. They're once again one of the hottest teams in the SEC right now. And, Kentucky, it's going to be tough for them to score more than 25, 30 points. I think Mississippi State is able to score upwards of 30 in this matchup against Kentucky. But obviously the Wildcats, their defense needs to come to play in this one. Going up against a great quarterback in Will Rogers, it's going to be a challenging one, that's for sure. But I definitely think Kentucky stands a chance. It's just once again a matter as to whether or not Kentucky's got Will Levis. And this is kind of in this scenario that Kentucky doesn't. I do feel pretty comfortable taking Mississippi State in the case that Will Levis isn't playing in this one, just based on how Kentucky looked last week against a mediocre South Carolina team. So I'm going to say 55% towards Mississippi State, over-under. I'm going to take the over for this one and Kentucky to cover the spread in the end. So yeah, that said, it's going to be a close one and definitely one of the best ones in the SEC coming up here in week 7. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below on this one, and I appreciate you guys all watching as always. Stay tuned for more from All Sports Central. Catch you on the next one.